Hey there! Today we're going to have a look at this very interesting and attractive Italian pen. This pen was sent to me by Nino Marino, who was one of the co-founders of Delta, and this is the brand is Nettuno. Now Nettuno was established in 1911 and is one of those pen companies that has gone under and then at some point was revived, and at some point is now. So Nino is creating these pens in Italy. I'll cover the parts of the pen, I'll do a writing sample, I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Let's get started. Okay, let's first have a look at the box, which is a little Delta reminiscent. So Nettuno 1911, the pen is called the 1911, a nice cardboard outer sleeve. And then we have this, which is what I meant by this is slightly Delta reminiscent in my mind. A little piece of elastic keeps that in place, and then this lid rotates open, which is something I've definitely seen on a bunch of Delta models. And we have some paperwork. Nettuno 1911. It has the international warranty. It explains stuff about the pen. The company, I should say, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, I don't think there was anything else in the box. No, then let's look at the pen. So here we have the pen. This is one of a number of finishes. This is the Oceano Blue, I think maybe Deep Oceano Blue, and I'm a little confused right now, but Oceano for sure. And this was my favorite. I could pick a finish, and I like this one. A lot of chatoyance, which has that nice sort of flickering in there, which I like a lot. It catches the light very, very nicely, so that is really quite cool. And then here we have a Lamy Safari just for a size comparison. So this is not, some of those Italian pens are really massive and oversized, and this is not one of them. This is a pretty normally sized pen. In fact, especially once you uncap it, I would say this is a pretty normal pen size. It's nothing massive, but it does have a number 6 nib. So let me put this away and then go over the parts of this pen. The finial has these nice waves. Nettuno is the Italian word or the Italian name for Neptune, right? So there's a lot of sea-themed things on here. We have some silver details. We have a nice clip with Neptune's trident. Il tridento di Nettuno. I made that up. I don't actually know if that's Italian. So nice clip. Nice springiness to it, and that ball works pretty well. Another ring, and then here we have these very nice little archways, which I think look quite nice. Have a bit of a gothic feel to them. I kind of enjoy that. Same material all the way down here, more archways, and this is actually a blind cap. Now, this is numbered. As far as I know, these pens are not limited, but it looks like they are numbered. I'm assuming this is not a code for the finish, but this is an actual number. This is actually a blind cap. Now, it's not a true piston filler. Inside here is a converter. So this would be a captive converter type model, but that is kind of fun because it means you can dip your pen in the ink and just draw up ink without having to unscrew the section or anything. Okay, when you do uncap the pen, you have a nice little slightly hourglass shaped section and a number 6 nib. The nib is steel and is rhodium plated. It has the Nettuno logo, or the N for Nettuno, in there. Now, you may notice there is a little dash right through the N, and first I thought that was a scratch, but I then realized when I looked at this engraving on the pen that that's part of the Nettuno logo. Okay, that dash, strike through is actually there. The barrel, as you can see, says Nettuno 1911, made in Italy. And it's a very clear engraving, so it's very legible, which some people really like, some people don't. I think it's quite cool. Section, as I said, slightly hourglass shaped. It's a short section, but I find it quite comfortable to hold, and the pen can be posted very securely on the blind cap, and then you have a nicely sized pen. As I said, number 6 nib, steel, rhodium plated, has the N for Nettuno, 1911 for the year Nettuno was established, as well as the name of this pen model, and M for medium. I have only seen these with fine or medium nibs, but I did see in the booklet, it did actually point something out, available extra fine, fine, medium and broad grades. So there is that, and there you have it. So, plastic feed, not ebonite, plastic feed, steel nib, number 6, and there you have it. Very interesting. Let's see how the pen writes. Let me zoom out a little bit for you and then do some writing. Okay, well, let's pretend that that works. 1911. The nib is a medium and the ink is just Waterman Serenity Blue. When you write with this pen, I have felt some feedback, and that is in my mind not a terrible feedback. It's not that the pen is scratchy or anything, but it does have a little bit of that feedback, kind of what you get in an Aurora pen if you've ever used one of those. And some people really like that, and some people don't. Very, very fast writing, which I don't think anyone would do. I have also felt that this nib has a bit of a small sweet spot, so you kind of need to align it properly to the paper, or it will skip and have some startup issues. See, that way it seems fine. So you have to be mindful of that. Wetness, not a gusher, but it's not super dry. So maybe we could call that properly tuned. And then we have, as to line variation, as always, very careful, but there is a tiny bit. So that's kind of nice. For those of you who enjoy that, reverse writing is very possible and turns this medium into a nice fine. So, that's the pen. Let's see what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So what do I like, what do I not like about the 1911? Well, I think there are some nice things going for this pen. Made in Italy, Italian resin. I don't know if Italian resin is very different from other resins in the world, but it is turned. It's not injection molded, so some attention has been paid to the actual making of the pen. There's the silver rings. Number 6 nib I think is nice. As I said, it's not the world's hugest pen, but I do like the number 6 nib. I think the pen looks very balanced that way. It would have been tempting to put a number 5 nib on this, because as I said, it's not a huge pen, but I think this is really nice. The nib looks in proportion with the rest of the pen. The section is relatively short, but I find it quite comfortable. Now, I do notice that, because of the size of my fingers, that I actually touch that silver, but it's quite nicely polished and it's not very sharp, so there's no real issue there. Captive converter, fun filling system. You see that on other pens too. The Leonardo pens, the acrylic Leonardo pens, also from Italy, also hand-turned, also have a converter and a little blind cap that you can use to kind of have a, let's call that a faux piston filler. So there is that. All of that is quite nice. I like the engraving. I think it, because you can see even from a distance, it kind of stands out a bit, right? Which I think is nice without being too obvious. So all of that I think is quite nice. The writing experience is interesting, quite a lot of feedback, and I do find this nib a tiny bit finicky as to its sweet spot. You really have to align it properly to the paper or it will skip and it will hard start. Now, granted, that could be a bit of an issue with the ink, but to be fair, Waterman Serenity Blue is a pretty good all-round ink, I would say. It's not super dry or anything. I think one issue with the pen is the price. It's $316, which I have to admit, for an Italian handmade pen is not terrible. But on the other hand, if you look at the market, if you look at, for example, again, the Leonardo pens, which 140 US, I think that's about the price, but let's call it 150. That's half of what you pay for this pen, right? And they also have a steel nib, and they also have that captive converter, and they also have the blind cap, and they also are handmade in Italy. So the price, I think, is a bit high. Now, on the other hand, you do have some high-end trims, some silver trims. Now, silver is also not super expensive, but there is a precious metal on the pen, I will say that. And that is nice. The eye for detail is good. The pen is solidly built. It's nicely made. It works well. The material, this material I think is very pretty, but there are other materials to choose from as well, which also look very good. There are pens with ruthenium trims, etc. So you have options there as well. I think it's nice. The number 6 nib is nice too, and that specific feedback as you write to me was quite pleasant. Ideally, I would say this is the type of pen that you may want to try out before you purchase it, but that may not always be very easy. But that's just my input. Overall, I like it. Not super affordable, but on the other hand, it is quite a nicely made pen, handmade in Italy. So you'll also pay a bit for that. We know that those Italian products are not necessarily the cheapest. Although then again, I think one of the big competitors is Leonardo, also handmade in Italy, also the converter slash piston-esque device, also very pretty materials. So competing in the market, interesting point. Having said that, I thought it was interesting. You have to make up your own mind as to whether this is something for you or not. Nino, very, very kind thank you for sending me the pen. I really appreciate it. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.